Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, a show celebrating and questioning one of the most beloved entertainment companies in the world through honest, passionate, and clear-eyed Disney discussions. I'm Jeff DePauli, your entertainment-obsessed host with rose-colored glasses removed. Today on the show, it's the return of our PrimeTime at the Park segment. A while back, I started this segment to discuss television shows that shot episodes inside of a Disney theme park. Now, with the recent addition of a Home Economics Disneyland episode, PrimeTime at the Parks is returning to discuss this ABC sitcom's recent season premiere. Although I admittedly am not super familiar with the show, I brought my pal Dean on, who is a superfan, to discuss. In this podcast episode, you'll hear Dean and I discuss the title of the TV show episode, Mickey Ears $19.99. I didn't realize at the time that each episode of Home Economics has a cost of some kind mentioned in the title. Thanks to @_Steph's Thoughts for pointing this out to me on Twitter and for requesting this episode. So, how realistic is this depiction of a family at Disneyland? Does the entire episode feel like one big commercial? Or did this Disneyland episode feel like it fit into the world of Home Economics? Listen as we discuss.
Don't touch that remote, because you're tuned into PrimeTime at the Parks.
Hello, Dean, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast for the very first time. You are a man who has been in my life since my earliest days in Los Angeles. We met a very long time ago.
How long?
2007.
Wow.
Yeah, we were both, well, you had been at Warner Brothers for quite some time at that point, giving tours, and I started there, and you were my trainer, and you were very tough, I must say.
I was. You can't get it past me.
Just the worst. But no, we've known each other for such a long time. Our paths have certainly gone in very different directions, so it's nice to see you again. It's been so long.
Great to see you.
And I'm excited to talk to you about Home Economics because I must admit I am not. I don't know the show. I was going to say I'm not a fan of the show, but that makes it sound like I don't like it. I'm just not super familiar with it. And, you know, we're bringing back PrimeTime at the Parks. We've talked about all those sitcoms that have shot in the Disney parks. And that segment is basically done on this show until a new show does this. So Home Economics recently premiered their third season. This series actually started airing on ABC with a short season in 2021. And then, of course, the series was picked up. And for its third season premiere on September 21st, 2022, they shot an episode at Disneyland. The episode is called Mickey Ears $19.99, which I think is a funny title. And you can watch the episode now on Hulu. Now, as I said, Dean, you're a fan of the show, so can you kind of just give a little bit of a background on the general concept of the show and how you got into watching it?
I saw it, and I like Topher Grace a lot. So when I saw the ad for the first episode, I said, tune in because, you know, who knows? It could be a really good show. And first episode, I fell in love. I just loved all the characters, their relation to each other, the diversity of the cast, too. Really, really great. There's people represented all over that cast. And it's just an amazing show that deals with family issues like every good sitcom does, but it's Connor, played by Jimmy Tatro, he's ultra rich. He sold his company, his tech company, and now he is just, kind of a bachelor with $1 zillion, and he can do whatever he wants. Lives in San Francisco, big, beautiful house. Topher is Tom, and his brother, and he's a writer and has not been successful at all. And he's pushing his only book that he thinks will make it, and he's been farming it out to all sorts of publishers, and they're not picking up on it. And then his wife is Marina, and she's Latina, so they get a lot of Latina stuff in there. Like it's great. She always talks to her daughter in Spanish to try to get her to recognize Spanish. Carla Sousa, by the way, plays Marina. Who else? There's, yes, Caitlin McGee plays Sarah, and she's Tom's sister, who is a lesbian, and she lives with her wife, Sashir Zamata, who plays Denise. That's it, Denise. And she, let's just say that they're really on the left-hand side of liberal. It's all the way over, very tree-hugging kind of girls. And they live in a tiny little, like, one-bedroom apartment in San Francisco that is like, if you opened your arms wide, you hit both walls. I mean, it's really tiny. And then Jimmy has a housekeeper, Lupe, who is just hysterical. She gets all the great one-liners. She's like, the scene will go on, and then all of a sudden, she'll hit it with or something like that, and it just kills me.
Now, I find it interesting that you say that whole storyline of him trying to sell his book and, the publishers denying it and stuff, and the brother being rich and kind of watching out for his little brother. I assume little brother, maybe older.
Yeah, I think it's older.
That's something that is very, like, prominent in this specific episode. I didn't realize that was kind of like an overarching theme of the show.
It's been happening all season. He sells the book to a publisher, and then the publisher starts going under, so he buys the company, and he doesn't want his older brother to think he's trying to save him, so he doesn't say that he bought it. He comes up with a really stupid alias called Hans Dutchman, because he says it's born by a foreign company. Very funny. Very funny.
All right. Now, before we jump into the Disneyland stuff, I got to ask you, just because as somebody going into this not being familiar with it, I'm checking it out and researching it online, and I keep seeing the logo over and over of Home Economics. This logo is a bit familiar, at least the word home is.
It kind of is.
It's the Home Alone font.
I think you're right.
The home in Home Economics looks very, very similar.
Much like Home Alone,
to the home in Home Alone. And listen, these are not related at all, but I found it to be super interesting just noticing that and thinking to myself, well, we live in an age where everything's a sequel or a remake. There's always something inherently recognizable. I shouldn't say always, but often. And that's what tends to sell these days. And I just found it really interesting. I have no idea whether or not this is the case, but I would not be surprised if someone was like, we've got a title of a show. It's called Home Economics. You know what's really popular? Home Alone. Can we do something to make them look similar?
Yeah, it's the first word, but the other words are got the arrows and everything. Economics up and down. I never even noticed that until you just said it. Never even thought about it.
It was the first thing I noticed. So in any case, that unimportant little note brought to you by me. So I always find it interesting to see how they actually get these characters to Disneyland when they do this. Right. And this was a very, as you kind of mentioned, like, he's got this bad news. He wants to tell his brother about him having bought the publishing company. And he doesn't want to tell his brother. He wants his brother to be in the best mood possible when he kind of gives him the bad news. And so he's making him his favorite breakfast, yada, yada, all this stuff. And ultimately, he's just like in a corner and is like, we're going to Disneyland, thinking that will fix everything. I mean, for me, it felt a little bit abrupt, but I am kind of curious as someone who watches the show. Did this feel on character to you?
Yeah, I think it was on point. I like the fact that Marina faked the muffins, and that type of thing. That's a throwback to I Love Lucy. When Desi had the breakfast shipped in, so she'd think he cooked it himself.
I love it when one of the sisters were like, you're not fooling anybody. Because she's like, well, so the mistake she really made was assorted muffins. So it's not like, I made a batch of, blueberry muffins. It was assorted muffins. Yeah, you ain't fooling anybody with that. So.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about that show. The repartee is so quick. And in many ways, it reminded me of Modern Family.
Yes, I got that as well.
Had that sense about it.
Yeah, as I was watching it, that was kind of the show in my head that I was comparing it to, where you've got, because, It's a little difficult jumping into a sitcom. I shouldn't say difficult, but it's a little weird jumping into a sitcom that you've never seen and like not knowing the relationships between characters, and with so many different families kind of coming together. It just had the Modern Family feel, as you say, and of course that was a
Yeah,
super
it
popular
has even
show.
has the look, I think, of that too. It's got the same type of lighting and everything. Single camera sitcom, which is so different from a audience sitcom.
Yeah, the one big difference is they don't do like the confessional kind of
Yeah.
scenes, but other
No,
than that,
none of that directing at the camera. I know I love that sort of sitcom. I'm a little sad that the audience sitcoms are slowly going bye bye.
it's cyclical. I mean, I honestly felt like I was saying that 20 years ago, and then we've got Chuck Lorre to save it, right?
But
It's
look at it. A lot of the stuff he's doing now is single camera.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
It's
so
I'm a multicam guy all the way when it comes to sitcoms. I'm a huge fan of that process.
the laughing from the audience. You
Yeah,
can
it's
you can see
you know
the
what?
actors holding on to lines to let the audience laugh.
Yeah, I always think, I don't know, it's just like kind of the dream gig in Hollywood, I think, because it's like, maybe people don't know this. People listening who are not like in the business, it is the easiest schedule. The only thing better is if you do a 1 hour live talk show.
Right.
That's the only schedule better than a multicam sitcom. It is, I mean, listen, you taught me all this when you were training me at Warner Brothers. Let's get into it a little bit since we're there. What was the schedule of a multicam sitcom?
It's Monday through Friday. The first day is always a table read, and for the actors, that's the easiest day. And the rest of the day is the crew working on the lighting and the set and everything. And then the next day they come in for blocking rehearsals. And then what's the rest of the day? The crew and the costume. Everybody's working. So the crew really works so much harder than the actors. I shouldn't say that because that'll make the actors mad, but
No,
it's
it's true
true.
though.
They have a
It's
cushy gig. It's very cushy, and then they do the run through of the show on Wednesday and Thursday. Get everything set. Thursday is the late afternoons when they do light blocking, the lighting, and they light the set and everything. And the next day they don't have to come in till like 4 or 5 o'clock, and they let the audience in, and they're usually up and running by 6, and they're done by about 10 or 11, and ta-da, sitcom.
So people out there should be creating multicam sitcoms just for the cushy schedule. They just got to convince the public that it's what they want.
Not for the creators and the writers and the
Sure, those are some long hours for the writers especially. But in any case, we're so off topic. But I love multicam sitcom. I always used to fear that they would go away completely, but I think they'll. I always think there'll be some.
there'll be
So
some. But it
yeah,
used to be
it used to be
sitcom.
everything.
Yeah, and they had so many episodes per season.
You know what's gonna do it? 22 episodes a season was so normal. Yeah.
22 to 28 for the Drew Carey show. They had 28.
Jeez. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. Honestly, what's going to happen is there's going to come a time where it's just going to be like massive budget cuts for TV production,
Right.
and they're going to be like, guess what's a heck of a lot cheaper to shoot? A multicam sitcom. So,
And it's nice because I like if it's an 8 to 10 episode season because the actors can do other things. They're not
yeah.
tied down, and it's fast. You can binge the whole season if you want, and just laugh your butt off all day.
Yeah.
But
It's very different than it was 20 years ago.
different world, my friend.
It really is. In any case, our characters in home economics get to Disneyland. We start at the front gate, which is a very nice place to start, but I love this moment where one of the characters one of the kids is already like, has their arms full
Full of stuff, yeah.
of merchandise, and they're like, where did you get all that? And someone says, a little pre-gaming at Downtown Disney. I was like, okay, number one, that's hilarious. Number two, I love that they fit an ad for Downtown Disney into this sitcom. But
And all the souvenirs too, like the bubble machine.
oh
and
yeah.
all the Cinderella dress and
So they're kind of pushing a few different things here. We got the whole Downtown Disney mention, but then also It's mentioned that the Disneyland app is used to drop a schedule. Which character was this that was
Right.
like kind of OCD?
That was Marina. She's Tom's wife, and
Okay.
she's got to have everything planned down to the second.
Okay, so she does that. And listen, we all know that person, right? Like, I kind of
Oh
used
yeah,
to be that person, but there's always somebody who goes to the Disney parks that has like a whole plan for the day, and you quickly realize that ain't going to
that's
work
not
out.
going to work. Yeah.
But I did find it interesting that they specifically mentioned the Disneyland app, but they didn't mention Disney Genie by name, which is like their new product that they're pushing. Disney Genie Plus, Lightning Lane. Like, none of that terminology was used.
I think it would have felt more like a commercial if they did
Totally.
that,
But
and
sometimes that,
that's
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's an ABC show. They're Disney, blah blah blah. But most people want to see the funny. They want to see, hey, I know Disneyland and I know where that is, and blah blah blah. But they don't want to hear. They don't want to hear the commercial, even though they're visually getting it while they're watching the show.
Yeah, I'm always curious, like, how many lawyers and, higher ups need to look through these scripts because there's often stuff that gets through that I'm a little surprised about. Even the title of this episode, what did I say it was?
Yeah, Mickey Years 1999.
Yeah, Mickey Ears 1999. Like, the fact that they're kind of promoting the fact in the title of the show that this souvenir is kind of overpriced, I found that to be interesting that, like, that even that got through. So I'm always fascinated.
I almost wore my Mickey ears for you for
Aw.
the interview. So
We'll pretend that you've got them on so the people listening
oh yeah,
think you
look
do.
at that.
And then after that, there's a big faux pas here. Did you happen to notice?
They don't go through the turnstiles. They're at the wide gates that are open.
Okay, so the wide center gates is where they walk through. I will say that has happened to me before. I have
Oh
seen those.
really?
Yes, they kind of put up like temporary scanners there. I guess it's only if it's like really busy days. So
Oh yeah.
them walking through that gate, I wouldn't say it never happens. I would just say it rarely happens. But nobody scans their tickets.
Nobody. They walk right in.
They just walk right into the place. I was like, all right, well, suspension of disbelief, I guess.
But you never know. There might have been some of that in there, and they edited it out. So
That's true. That is true.
yeah.
But yeah, they definitely took the beautiful center gates that,
Oh yeah. With the
are-
with the Mickey and the flowers back behind them, and
exactly.
yeah.
And then we get into the episode a little bit. One thing that's mentioned is hidden Mickeys, which
Absolutely.
I don't know about you. I mean, so many people are obsessed with hidden Mickeys.
There's a
And
book, isn't there? There's a book
oh, yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I think that they're all
Probably
like,
more than one.
I'm pretty sure they're all unofficial. I don't know if Disney's ever put out an official book about the hidden Mickeys, but there are definitely plenty of books about them. And it was kind of interesting because a few of the characters were kind of like into it throughout the episode, but they would point out hidden Mickeys, but like none of them were legitimate hidden Mickeys.
Like the Wire. I've never
Yeah.
seen that. It's not on there, is it?
No, I don't. I'm. It looked like a telephone wire.
Exactly. Where would you see that?
They
Yeah.
were in line at It's a Small World, and I'm like,
Right.
yeah, there's no telephone pole there, but that's exactly what it was. It was like a telephone pole wire in the air in the shape of Mickey. And I was like, yeah, that was the first one. Was like, okay, no, and then there were quite a few others.
The rocks by the lake, there by the water.
But
I don't know. They could be legit. I don't know where they are.
that's the thing about hidden Mickeys. Like, there are so many aren't legitimate that people just like, sure, it's 3 circles, whatever. It's a hidden Mickey.
They even did it in the fireworks at the end of the night. When they're blowing up the fireworks and you see Mickey in the fireworks.
Yes, that's one of my favorite hidden Mickeys.
Everybody oohs and ahs.
Oohs and ahs. We're gonna get to the fireworks at the end
Okay.
of this for sure. One thing that was really heavily pushed. Now you mentioned 2 of the characters on the show are lesbians. They're a married couple, but
Mhm.
they kind of, I don't want to say they heavily pushed it, but it was the Pride merch was pretty prominent, and there was even conversation about the Pride merch. And I found this really fascinating because a lot of people give Disney crap, including myself, for, the way that the whole Don't Say Gay bill in Florida went down and all that. And this, I don't know if this was kind of like a course correction for them, but it felt, I mean, there was no hiding it. It wasn't like, oh, the lesbian couples were just wearing rainbow Mickey gear. It was like, no, they were specifically talking about the Pride merch, which I found
Even
interesting.
on the water bottles, you could see
Yeah.
it said Pride. Yeah,
Now, was that something that's pretty typical on this show?
they definitely talk about their characters being lesbian. It's usually subtle stuff. There was one episode where she thought. Denise thought that the other one might have been eyeing some woman, and she got jealous. That type of thing. But usually it's the stuff about voting and the granola thing killed me. It just killed me. Here's some granola, and it was in one of those big, it's just amazing because you think, oh yeah, granola, lesbians, yeah. Oh, too much, too much. But no, it happens all the way through the seasons. It's been pretty. It's been mentioned. They just don't go crazy over it.
Okay, so even more interesting that it was so prominent in the Disneyland episode.
Yeah. Like I said, there are in something special like that. They're always going to try to do at least one thing that talks about it. I mean, they couldn't get very political about it. They couldn't do anything that said, "I don't want to go to Disneyland," that type of thing. They wanted it to be a happy episode, and it was. I
Yeah.
mean, I love Disneyland. I love Disneyland. I've never been to Walt Disney World.
You got to go do the Carousel of Progress, Dean.
Oh, I
You
know.
got to get there.
I was there once because I helped open Universal Florida in 1991. One day we had off, just one day in like 30 days. It was crazy. And we went to, it was late afternoon, so we went to the, what was it called? The Hollywood
Disney MGM Studios.
MGM Studios, yeah. And we only got to spend like 3 hours there, and then it closed. But that's the closest I got to.
I didn't realize that you opened Universal Studios Florida. What did you do?
I was working as a tour guide here in LA, and it was I was new. I was only there for like 6 months, and they asked me if I wanted to be part of the team to help open the new park. They sent us there, and we talked to the tour guides and got them all jazzed up, and we were helping on opening day, which was a disaster. It was terrible. Oh my God, the line at guest relations was a mile long, but it was really interesting and fun. But you know what? I got backlash from the other tour guides in at Universal, especially ones that had been there for a long, long time. Because they're
In
like,
Hollywood.
yeah, why does
Yeah.
the new kid get to go? Why can't we go? Oh my God. There were people that wouldn't talk to me when I got back.
Jeez. And now you're back at Universal Hollywood, right?
Yeah, in a completely different job. I did for the first couple of years. I was working as a tour guide again. Right after I left Warner Brothers, I went back to Universal, and then the Harry Potter thing was building, and I was like, Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Wouldn't I love to work in there? But they don't have tours in there. But they have characters in there. So I auditioned for and got 2 roles, the train conductor and also the wand keeper in Ollivanders. And the cool thing about it is the older I get, the better the characters look. So, it doesn't matter. So I have been away from it for a little while due to a problem health-wise, but I hope to get back soon.
Yeah, I can. You must be great at the wand keeper thing. Like,
I love that. I love it so much
yeah,
because it's performing. I get to perform in 45-minute sets, and they jam as many people in there as they can in 45 minutes. And it's very small and very dark, very intimate, and very mysterious and wizardly. It's cool. I love it.
very cool. All right, now of course we gotta get a moment in any Disney sitcom episode of ride montages, and we get that. And this is where it's like, hey, don't forget this is the cool stuff we have. It is interesting given how much Disneyland Resort now has to offer, like
Right.
the amount of stuff that you can't show. Like for so many years, there was that iconic Splash Mountain shot of the
Right.
the log
Going
coming
down,
over the mountain, and that was like always in there. I don't think we saw any Splash Mountain, although I guess now that I think of
Yeah.
it, they're having, political problems with Splash Mountain. So
Yeah.
that's probably part of it as well. But I don't know. It's just, I always find it interesting which rides they choose to show. And then on top of that, like in the case of this, there is zero consideration for which rides are in which park. Like somebody watching this who doesn't know that Disneyland Resort is made up of 2 theme parks would have no clue. And
None.
that's clearly a choice. I think it's a fine choice, but it's a choice nonetheless of them.
Right.
I mean, I don't even think they utter the words Disney California
No,
Adventure.
they don't even mention it. And it's like, I mean, I think most people know that it's 2 theme parks. I don't think anybody would be surprised, especially if they went to the
I
website.
disagree. I would say
Really?
I would say locals, but I would say people visiting from other states and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were like, oh, there's 2 parks in California. I think we always assume that people like keep track of this crap, but like they don't, and
Maybe online.
maybe, but I mean that's assuming like they're following it. That's another. It's interesting because there are people who are just like, yeah, let's go on a Disney vacation every 5 years. Okay, what are we gonna do? And then like that's when they start looking into it. But I don't know. I feel like I assume people know more than they do when it comes to a Disney vacation.
Well, it's the same at Universal. I'm sure over at Universal in Orlando, they don't know that there's 2 theme parks.
Well, according to them, there's 3 if you count the water park.
Yeah.
So
I don't count a water park.
Me
But
either.
you can get to either on the train, which is a kind of a really cool thing. But
Oh
it's
yeah,
also,
between the 2 Harry Potter areas.
it forces people to buy the double tickets,
Exactly.
which is smart.
It is. Disney hasn't figured that one out yet. They gotta.
They will.
The one ride that you can only do if you have a park hopper. So, now speaking of Disney California Adventure, though, I had a favorite moment in DCA by far.
I know the exact moment you're talking about.
Go ahead, say it.
When they're taking pictures, they take a picture with Iron Man, and then Connor says, "Hey, you want a picture with Spider-Man?" And he turns to Connor and says, "No, not a fan," and he walks off. And nope, I mean, really, you have to really know the Spider-Man movies to know that joke, but it was hysterical.
Well, so anybody listening to this show who's listened for a while knows that I'm like so not a superhero guy. I am not a Marvel guy. Granted, Spider-Man is like the one that I do follow. But as I was watching, I was like, wait a sec, that's funny. I was like, didn't Topher Grace play Spider-Man? I was like, no, he never played Spider-Man. And then I remembered, oh, he was Venom.
Exactly.
So like that's
so
really
great.
funny. For the people that got it, that was a pretty darn funny line. Not a fan.
That reminds me of something that happened on when I worked at Warner Bros. Happened on Gilmore Girls. It was one of the first episodes, and Kelly Bishop, who plays the mom on Gilmore Girls, the grandma, excuse me, she was in the Chorus Line. She was in Dirty Dancing, and there was an episode where they were trying to figure out how to punish Rory for staying out all night, and the grandmother's going on and on about what she should do, and she turns to her mom and says, "Look, nobody puts baby in a corner," and walked away. And I thought I was going to fall off the couch. It was so funny. I love inside jokes like that.
Yeah, inside jokes that only part of the audience gets is always fun, for sure. Yeah. Excellent. Now, of course, if you're doing an episode in a Disney park these days, you have to feature Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, right? Like, that's
got me going. I haven't been there yet.
You haven't been there yet? Okay.
Oh, I want to go so bad.
You'll love it when you go. I mean, you like the immersive world of Harry Potter. If you're a Star Wars fan, you'll enjoy it. But we see a small chunk of it, I would say. But one of the things that we see is these 2 brothers. This is where the news finally comes out that he bought the publishing company, and it becomes an argument. They've been having a great day. They're all having a lot of fun, which was the whole point. Get him in this good mood. And then it comes out. And
the lightsabers light up.
The lightsaber battle, that's right. So we have a lightsaber battle between the 2 brothers in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is cute enough. But I will tell you, at one point, we have a very Speaking of the inside joke thing, I think this one is very obvious, but we have the recreated moment of "No, Luke, I am your father," and
Right.
the drop, the cutting off of the hand and all this stuff. Not that the hand cuts off, but he drops the lightsaber, and I got to tell you, just as somebody knowing how much it costs to build that lightsaber in the park, I literally gasped out loud. I was like, he just dropped a $200 lightsaber from a height. It's probably broken. And I was concerned.
You know that there was somebody underneath catching the lightsaber as he tossed it over so they could do another take, you know.
Yeah.
But oh my God, I laughed so hard. It was great. And he
Yeah.
goes, Luke, I am your publisher. Oh, no, it's Tom. I am your publisher. And then he goes, no. That's the thing about this show. There's so many fun things. And I'm not talking about just at Disneyland, which was over the top with the fun stuff, but the show itself has a lot of points of, pop culture type of things. And
Yeah.
I love that.
Now, we do get inside of a ride in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. We meet up with the actress Yvette Nicole Brown, who is becoming Disney's go-to girl. I mean, she is doing so many Disney Plus projects, and just like she's at D23 Expo all the time now, and she has really become a staple in the Disney projects. And it's like her, Neil Patrick Harris, and Josh Gad. It's just like
Right.
the three of them have taken over. But we catch her as a solo rider. She meets up with the rest of the cast, not knowing them, of course, as a solo rider, in the Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run attraction. And it's kind of funny. She quickly realizes she kind of, remember, this is after the fight with the lightsaber fight. So she kind of realizes, oh gosh, maybe this isn't the group I want to be on this ride with. And there's a great exchange between her and a cast member where she goes, "Can I change teams?" And then the cast member just goes, "The Resistance needs you here." And I was like, that is so on point for
Sure.
Disney cast members. So
Yeah, but even her description of the ride was great because she said we need 2 pilots and 2 gunners and 2 navigators and whatever, and it was like they were saying, that this is how you play it, this is how you do it. And in the Millennium Falcon, when she stands at the ride on the line, and he goes, "Do we have any single riders? Do we have any single riders?" And she looks around and she goes, "I'm a Han Solo rider." I love that too. It's great. I love these. The writers on this show are perfect.
So yeah, one of the fun things we find out about this character is she gives this beautiful speech inside, because they're inside Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run in the middle of the ride, still kind of arguing, and she gives this really nice speech about, not all of us have a family to go to Disneyland with, yada yada yada. By the way, I've definitely been to Disneyland alone. It's a great way to go sometimes, just FYI if you haven't. But she gives this really nice speech about it, but then, like, spoiler, the reveal at the end of this episode is that she's actually there with her family and she was escaping the family.
A big family too. It's like all those kids and the husband. I'm like, where have you been? You've been gone for hours.
So I actually thought that was really, really funny how they revealed that. But I just really found it interesting that the attraction they decided to feature in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. There are a couple reasons I guess it makes sense. Number one, it would be much harder to shoot inside Rise of the Resistance, but also I feel like Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run isn't as beloved as Rise of the Resistance, so
Right.
maybe they're like, okay, let's promote this ride that people aren't lining up for as much.
And I think if they were going for the Star Wars gags, that would have been the best place to try that stuff. Because
Yeah.
inside Rise of the Resistance, there's too much going on with the ride vehicles moving around and blah, blah, blah. It would be very hard to get anything that's funny that you can actually zoom in on. It would look too forced, I think.
Yeah, they definitely made it simpler for themselves being in one location. I'm curious how they shot that, if it was in the ride or not. I'm kind of curious. I could see it going either way.
They could have used, a GoPro type camera mounted to the dashboard, because I see a lot of that, because they can move around and they're steady, But I don't know. Maybe they did it in a set, but it didn't look like one. It looked
Yeah, the only
really
thing that I
accurate.
got, the lighting is what got me. I was like, okay, if they did this in the ride, they definitely brought in additional lighting for this.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, how easy that necessarily is to do. Bring extra lighting into a ride. But yeah, it was interesting. I'm curious how they shot that. I have no idea, to be
They did
completely
it
honest.
after hours when no
Well,
one was
sure, of course, they would have had to. They would have had to
Yeah.
if they actually shot it there. But yeah, so the finale of the episode, of course, there's always or very often the fireworks finale.
Yay!
And we very much got that with this episode. Everybody's happy again by the end of the episode. But something happens here that I'm trying to recall if this happens in real life, because it's one of those things like, when you're watching like background performers on TV shows, everybody's nodding their head in agreement, right? For some reason, whenever you see people watching fireworks on a TV show, they're always pointing at the fireworks. And I'm
Right.
like, do people do this? I don't know if people point at fireworks, do they?
I don't think so. I mean, I haven't noticed that. Usually it's people's heads just looking up. I don't see anybody really pointing. Maybe a kid sitting on top of someone's shoulders would
Yeah.
point, but, it didn't look right having all
Yeah,
those
it's always
people.
one of those things where I'm like, I feel like this is definitely like, I don't know, in somebody's mind, oh, when there are fireworks, you should be pointing toward the sky and
Woo!
smiling. And it's like, I think most
Ah.
people are just standing there.
I guess they wanted some motion, Just standing is not enough for
Yeah, exactly.
television. But
Yeah.
here's a question for you. I
Yeah.
don't know this for a fact because whenever I'm watching the fireworks, I'm always as close to the castle as I can be, more centered. And they were standing on the train station.
Yes.
And that seems like they don't let people do that.
So I have stood up there multiple times, but I must admit they were for press events. So it's kind of a VIP area.
Exactly.
Whether or not they open that up when it's not being used for a VIP area, I'm not sure, because I tend to prefer standing in the middle of Main Street where I can see like
Yeah.
the projections on Main Street. I wouldn't be surprised if it's open up if they're not hosting something there. There's no reason that
Mm,
can't be. I mean, there are still people going up and down those stairs just to get to the train when the train's open
right.
during the fireworks. So it's honestly not a great spot.
No, I thought they closed the train down during fireworks because they didn't want it going close to the. It's like when they closed Mickey's Toontown down
Yeah,
for
I
fireworks.
definitely know that. Yeah, they'll shut down certain areas. I know that I've seen people like getting into the queue for the train. Whether or not they actually stop it during fireworks, I'm not. I'm not
Mm.
sure. I'm trying to think what it would. The Toontown area would be the closest, but yeah, New Orleans wouldn't be affected. Going through Galaxy's Edge, Tomorrowland. Yeah,
That's why I think they don't let the Columbia or the Mark Twain go around during fireworks because it
they
gets really
don't.
no. It closes until after the fireworks.
Really?
Because I tried to get on when I thought, what a great place to watch. You'd be on top of the Mark Twain and
Or was it closed because of Phantasm? Was Phantasmic performing that night?
oh, you're right. That's probably what it was.
Yeah, they closed those down early for Phantasmic. I'll tell you the place to watch fireworks is if you can time it where you're on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad during the fireworks, that is awesome.
My neck would fall off if I did. Jerking around looking at everything.
It's a fun little treat. And also, I always say I want them to design a fireworks show where in Galaxy's Edge, it's kind of a cool view of the fireworks. Of course, they're not pumping that music in, but I was like, I want them to design a fireworks show that where like there's different music pumping if you're in Galaxy's Edge, but that still goes along.
In Return of the Jedi, at the very end, when they blow up the Death Star again, the little Ewoks are running around and they're jumping up and down. And the background is, yep, 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 yep. And they played that with the fireworks and had people running around just like Ewoks. It would be hysterical. It'd be great.
Yeah. I'd love to see them do something with that in the future. That would be cool. But yeah, so the fireworks finale is there. We get a little tag at the end of the episode, another lightsaber moment. They were really
Mhm.
pushing these lightsabers.
Well,
That's
they're
for sure.
expensive, so push them, push them, push
Exactly. Exactly. So the big question here, did the episode feel like a big commercial to you, or did it feel organic to home economics?
I thought it felt very organic to home economics. I realize, it's Disney, ABC Disney, and they have the ability to shoot at Disneyland very easily if they want to, but they weren't beating you over the head with the commercialism of it. It just made me want to go to Disneyland again. I didn't think, oh, I should go back there because of this. It was just the whole atmosphere, just enjoying the land, and they really did. I couldn't believe they got that much in for one episode.
I mean, it's crazy to think 22 minutes, right? 21 and a half minutes, whatever these sitcoms with
Right.
network commercials are now. Like, it's a lot. I always, even the beginning, I was like, when they were at that breakfast, which was not at Disneyland, I was like, okay, how fast are we going to get to Disneyland? Because, like, you don't have much time. Sitcoms are so short these
Right.
days.
But I thought they really did a good job of him not wanting to tell Tom that he was the publisher, and he was just about to, and he was like, "We're going to Disneyland." It was just something to get everybody happy, so he didn't have to tell him. And that's perfect. You're in California already. He's up in San Francisco, so they could just jump on a flight and get down to Disneyland. And then Tom berates Marina because she grew up in San Diego and had never been to Disneyland.
Which I'll tell you, that kind of sounds unbelievable, but I will tell you that, like, somebody who's lived here for a while, I can't get over the amount of people, not even in San Diego, in Los Angeles, even closer to Disneyland, who have never been to Disneyland. And I'm just like, I get it. Like, it's not for everyone, but if you've been in LA or the area for 5 years or more, you should have at least been to Disneyland once. I mean,
Oh,
how
sure.
did
When people from out of state visit you, where do you go? Disneyland.
And even after 5 years of being here, if it's an affordability thing, you've probably met somebody who can sign you in at that point.
Exactly. I got
So,
in quite a few times that way. I spend so much money there. They must love that I'm being signed in. Because once I get signed in, I'm like, okay, I can spend whatever I want because I don't have to worry about the ticket. And I
yeah,
usually spend a lot more money there than I would normally.
yeah.
So, thank you, Disney.
So when you were watching the episode, did you discover anything new about Disneyland that kind of surprised you?
Well, I was surprised by the interaction in Galaxy's Edge with the characters. I don't know. Does Chewbacca walk around?
Chewbacca does.
I
Yep.
know that the
The
stormtroopers
stormtroopers.
do. Do they get to talk like that though?
Yeah, they do.
Oh wow, that's so cool! All right, I'm going.
Yeah. So yeah, they definitely interact with the guests, and we'll have conversations. Kylo Ren, same thing. Pretty soon, Mandalorian is going to be there with
Oh
Grogu.
yeah, sure.
So yeah, that actually, that's an interesting point that I hadn't thought of, but that is something that, back in the day, you'd see
Right.
Mickey talking to the guests before that was ever a thing, and now we see it on the show, and it's actually accurate. So it's kind of cool. So very cool.
That's wonderful. I mean,
Excellent.
and the way they decided how to question somebody's Star Wars, uh, you know, ability to pull it out of their head, and he was like, "Do you know what at means?"
Oh yeah.
I was like, "Yes, I do." I thought, I am such a Star Wars fan. I didn't know that. One of the funniest thing I thought was when they were talking about being bad liberals, the lesbian couple, and
Yeah.
and she goes, "That means half of my bumper stickers are a lie." It's so funny. Oh, I'm sorry. I just love that show. Love it, love it, love it.
No, I love that you love it.
Did you ever see Life in Pieces?
No, I know this title. Was this a movie or a show?
No, a television show. Colin
Okay.
Hanks and oh God, I can't remember all the cast members, but it very much mirrored Modern Family, and they even looked at the camera and did the asides and stuff. But it was very funny, and when it went away, I was like, oh, what show am I gonna like anymore? Yeah.
So this one picked up those pieces.
Oh, it sure did.
Excellent.
So did the Connors actually.
The Connors I continue to watch, but honestly only because I've seen every episode of Roseanne. The Connors is... I'm not loving what they're doing, personally.
They're starting to stretch it a bit. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
but it's a multicam sitcom, so hey.
Exactly. There we go.
It's a classic multicam that's still on the air. But yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's getting to the point now, granted, as we were talking about, like the seasons are way shorter than Roseanne. These are like 10 episode seasons versus 22 episode seasons. So the number of episodes are far fewer, but they're now like in season 5 of The Conners.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that's wild to think that it's what, yeah, it's too crazy. So in any case, is there anything else you want to add about this Disneyland home economics episode before we hop into some trivia?
I want to go there, and I want to see all the characters from home economics still there.
Do you want them as meet and greet opportunities?
I want to meet and greet with them. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Let's make that happen. But now let's get to some trivia.
Do you know the answer? Get your brain gears churning and play along. It's trivia time.
Before we jump into trivia, I want to remind folks that Who's It's and What's It's is a great place to start your holiday shopping for the Disney fans in your life. Check out some of their new apparel, including their monorail cuff, cranium command pennant, yub nub hat, classic mermaid crop tee, and so much more. And don't forget that DCTC listeners save 15% off of their entire order simply by using discount code DCTC at checkout. You can find the link in this episode's description. Now, Dino, do you want to hit me with a trivia question first, or shall I hit you?
Hit me.
All right. Well, as I mentioned, the name of the Home Economics Disneyland episode is Mickey Ears 1999, although honestly, $19.99 is on the lower end of what it costs for Mickey Ears these days. Earlier this year, they released Ewok Mickey Ears that were very popular and sold out quite quickly. How much did these ears sell for in the Disney parks? They sell for a lot more on eBay now, but in the Disney parks, what was the actual price?
Something like that, I think, would go for probably like $29.99.
It was $39.99.
I missed by 10. Oh, darn it.
Yeah, it's pretty pricey for a pair of Mickey ears, I must say, but they have so many different styles and special ones and limited edition and yada yada. So,
well, I'm the one who I couldn't get a Mickey ears to fit on my head because I have a big head. It would just sit on top of my head like a yarmulke. And so I decided to find something with Mickey ears that would fit on my head. And I finally found it after like several, visits to Disneyland. It was a baseball cap that said the Mickey Mouse Club on it with a little thing. And it had ear flaps. It had Mickey ear flaps on it. And it fits my head. And I was like, yay, I get to wear it when I go to Disneyland.
Yeah, I like the baseball caps with the ears. I think those are a fun design.
I look, because every time I went there, they said, oh, we don't have them anymore. We're out of them. We're on order. And so I finally got one. I think it was at that little kiosk at the front of the park before you go in. And I ran over just like Tom ran to R2-D2. I mean, I was like, zoom, right there.
That's awesome.
Okay, here's a question for you.
Yes, let's hear your trivia question.
When they're in line at Small World and they're looking for the hidden Mickeys, the daughter of Tom, she's not all that bright. And she looks at Mickey and she says, I found one. And the housekeeper's like, no, honey, that's Mickey. We have to find hidden Mickeys. And then she finds another one. What was it?
Yeah, it was the topiary of a moose, right?
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. She said, that's a hidden Mickey. She goes, honey, that's a moose, not a mouse.
Well, cool. Dino, that does it for our Home Economics Disneyland episode. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Just love seeing you, man. You're a fine actor on top of all this, and I want you to do something that I can come and see you on stage.
I want to come see you do the wand thing at Universal. I've never seen you do it.
I've been out of it for a little while because of some injuries, but
we'll just go in a closet and you can. We'll go in a closet and you can perform it for me. Select me. Oh man.
We can go in the actual wand shop and I can say, he's doing this wrong.
And there we go. Exactly. Awesome. Well, Dean, thanks so much. I will talk to you later, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeff. Bye.
Thanks for tuning into this episode. Don't miss any future episodes by subscribing and following Dizney with a Z, coast to coast on your favorite podcast app. And if you enjoyed this Primetime at the Parks episode, find all other Primetime at the Parks episodes in the show notes where we discuss the sitcoms Full House, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Blackish, and so many more. This episode has been executive produced by Mackenzie Jalen Arnold. Gain rewards like Mackenzie, including access to never-before-heard episodes and live-stream Q&As by visiting the Patreon link in this episode's description. And don't forget that I'll be matching 100% of your first month subscription to Toys for Tots for all new patrons joining this month, November of 2022. Basically, anything you need can be found in this episode's description, from additional information and links discussed in this episode found in the show notes, to the DCTC hotline where you can leave a voicemail and be heard on a future episode, access to the show's official website, some free gifts from me to you, and so much more. So be sure to check out this episode's description. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePauli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. This podcast is part of the DePodcast Network. Learn more about this show, plus find more quality and entertaining podcasts at DePodcastNetwork.com. That's DEPodcastNetwork.com.